Sonic CD is an okay game, but it's not really as good as everyone says it is. Sonic CD's development began not long after 1991's Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis, after the lead programmer from that game moved to the United States to work with Sega Technical Institute, along with several other members of Sonic Team, to develop Sonic the Hedgehog 2. While this was going on, Sega was planning on putting out the Sega CD, a hardware add-on for the Sega Genesis. Sega wanted to make a Sonic game to show off the more advanced features of the Sega CD. As a result, a separate team in Japan led by Sonic's co-creator began developing a new project which eventually turned into Sonic CD. Because this game's production was begun not long after Sonic 1, the sprites Sonic uses look more similar to his sprites from that game. Sonic CD plays very similarly to the Sonic games that came out before it. Sonic runs as fast as he can through levels, or in some cases, he has to slow down to avoid traps, which has been a thing in Sonic games since the beginning, yet people still think Sonic is just about going fast. If Sonic runs into any of the obstacles in his way, he'll lose rings if he has any. If he doesn't, he'll die. But if you knew anything about Sonic, you probably knew that already. What this Sonic game does differently from other Sonic games is that Sonic can travel through time, either to the future or the past. So there are 3 versions of every zone in the game: past, present, and future. Traveling to the future by default will take Sonic to a bad future, and players are encouraged to convert each zone's timeline to a good future, which is done by traveling to the past and destroying a robot transporter. To even travel through time, Sonic has to get to a past or future post and then build up enough speed. If Sonic is unable to build up speed, he won't be able to travel through time. Just having to travel through time like this is annoying, but it's not even required, so I don't really even worry about it. Part of this is because the level design, for the most part, isn't very good. The first couple stages are alright, but it really goes downhill after that. Like Sonic 1, this game has 3 acts per stage rather than 2. However, unlike Sonic 1, the third act is extremely short and leads to a boss. The fact that it focuses on the boss is fine and all, but if that's what they're going to do, they should have made these stages just be a boss battle without any extra crap. Speaking of boss battles, they're garbage. For example, the second boss is some shitty pinball stage that ends with Sonic bashing the out of Dr. Robotnik. Further into the game is a race with Metal Sonic and what the is this? This is not a boss fight! The course that Sonic has to race through is a mess that makes it hard to keep moving fast. Normally I wouldn't complain about this in a Sonic game because lots of stages have traps that are meant to slow him down, but here, in a race? What were they thinking? And that one time I did make it to the end, I felt like it was pure luck and not like I actually had any skill. Sonic CD has the worst boss fights and poorly designed stages, and some people say this one is their favorite in the series? Alright, I get that people have different opinions, and if you love this game, cool, just keep enjoying the game. However, I cannot rate it as high as other 2D Sonic games. Anyways, that's enough about that. Despite my issues with it, there are some things that I like about Sonic CD. First of all, Sonic CD is the first 2D Sonic game with an opening cutscene which was taking advantage of the Sega CD's hardware. The cutscene also introduces us to the story, which I really don't ever pay attention to in a Sonic game because in a game like this, I care more about the gameplay. Anyway, Sonic finds a little planet tethered to a mountain by a chain and soon realizes that Robotnik was responsible. Robotnik also seeks 7 jewels capable of altering the passage of time, called Time Stones, which is why the game involves time travel. Sonic heads off into the planet, followed by Amy Rose, who claims to be his girlfriend. After learning of Sonic's presence, Robotnik sends off Metal Sonic, who kidnaps Amy so that it will send Sonic into danger. When it comes to the main game, there's not much else to say about it. However, there is some extra content in the version of the game I'm playing, which include time travels. You can even adjust settings, including which soundtrack you want, the US version or Japanese version, because when it first came out in the States on the Sega CD, for some reason, they had to change the songs. Oh, and you can unlock Tails to play as. That's cool, I think. In the end, Sonic CD is one of my least favorite 2D Sonic games due to its poor design choices. However, the game manages to shine when it comes to its visuals and its music. There wasn't a single song on the soundtrack that annoyed me, although I was playing with the Japanese soundtrack on, so I haven't really heard much of the US one. Anyway, Sonic CD is a mediocre game and gets a Metal Sonic out of 12.